Hello.
Well, hello there, Yitzchak Pierson. Welcome to the network of Networth video podcast. Hey, man, it's been a long time coming. Glad to finally get you on the show.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me, Chris.
Oh yeah, definitely. I tell you, high words were spoken of you from day one by a bunch of your people that you know. So I figured, hey, I've got to get him on here. I've got to have him on the show. I've got to talk to him about what he does, especially since you're just almost local. I mean, you're 30 minutes down the road. So tell us, Yitzhak, what is it that you do in New Braunfels, Texas, in the real estate industry? And I want to start there because I know that you're here to talk about your book and some things you've got launched and everything else. But just to get the meat and potatoes out of the way of who you are and what you do in New Braunfels, tell us all about it.
Absolutely. So I'm a residential real estate agent or a realtor. I do primarily single family residential. I don't really get into commercial too much. I enjoy helping people, families and individuals rather than with the commercial side is a little bit more just the numbers and a little bit more cutthroat. I really enjoy the emotional side of it and getting more fulfillment from helping somebody, whether it's a first time home buyer or a couple retiring, going into, a home to be closer to their grandkids. That's really what I get a lot of fulfillment from. In that, and then I do real estate instructing as well. So teaching other realtors, just trying to raise the profession as a whole, just constantly staying up to date with education and helping others any way that I can in my industry.
Well, I see you've got one heck of a YouTube channel coming along there too. You've got what 200 and some odd videos you've been putting out. I see you
Yeah,
cranking them out
yeah.
there, man.
A,
Oh yeah,
a
yeah.
video, a video every week for almost 2 years now, something like that.
Wow,
Yeah.
congratulations on the consistency there. It looks like it's paying off. You got twice the amount of subscribers than you have videos. That's wonderful.
Yeah, and I do have some actual some real estate investors found me on my YouTube channel, and I have about 10 deals going for them right now. So that was just a really validating, result of consistency over time, bringing in, making connections with people and building an audience, and then actually getting some monetary results from it as well.
That's what I was going to talk to you about. In the real estate space, I talk to a lot of people about content creation, having their own channels, putting out video content, written content, and many of them are just lacking in that department. They just don't do it. They just don't do
Yeah.
it. They're busy with the work of being a realtor, they're and not the branding part of it, not building their own career in it. Just more about the deal
Yeah.
flow and how to work it out. What could you say to other realtors or people in your space about content creation and the benefits of it in your professional career so far?
You gotta make it a habit, and you gotta start small and just start. A lot of people will get stuck up on how they sound or well, the way they look in the videos. And two things that I tell people on those subjects is like we hear ourselves different from because our voice is coming out of our mouths and it's coming back around to our ears through our bones and our skin. So we hear it differently than other people hear it. So if you can get past it, people hear you the exact same way that you.
Hey, if you're interested in a one-on-one business growth strategy consultation with me, fill out the form below and let's set up a time to hop on a Zoom call and talk.
You're the only one hearing yourself different, and then everybody already knows what you look like. So you're the only one who cares what you look like, and it's better to be genuine and authentic. And just put yourself out there when you're not perfect because people connect with that better than a really hyper edited, perfect makeup, that type of thing. That's not what they want to see. And then when they meet you in person, they want it to be congruent with what they saw online. So when they meet you in person and you're not perfect, then that's a good thing. So those are two things for hurdles, and then just start slowly, start making the videos and make short form content and then work up and take classes. There was lots of classes and videos and iterations to get to where I am at now with my video production and just making consistent videos every week. And think of it from a long view, like one video. Don't try and be perfect with one video. Perfection is the enemy of completion. So just get a video out and put it out there and think about, you're going to be making thousands of videos. So that one video over 1,000 videos is very minute. And if you can just think of it like that, I'm going to be making thousands of videos, and this is just one of those thousands.
That's it. I have found that that helps quite a bit. When you're thinking about those things that may or may not be perfect. Uh, just remember, hey, that's a past episode. It's okay. The new ones will be better. The next ones will be better. And same thing with this show. When I first started off this show, I was just a guy on here doing just doing a little thing, talking to people at a Discord server. Is how that started out. Next thing you know, it's people say, "Hey, well, why don't we do it on YouTube? Why don't we do it on different platforms? Why don't we do it live? Why don't we start talking to people and gathering real audience?" And so I had to learn how to stream, and then I had to learn how to be a host, and and how to switch screens and do all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, it's all a process, man. Everybody thinks that things come easy and that it's the snap of the finger when you know it, but really, there's a lot of iterations. Just like you said, there's a lot of courses, there's a lot of training, there's years of taking a little bit from here and a little bit from there to put it together to make something that's whole. So now I tell you, you are a best-selling author of 2 or 3 books. Now I know you've got 2, and I think you just released a third. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, so two I would just kind of self-release. They're more for real estate. One was I wanted to know what it was like. Well, even when I got licensed, when I bought a house, I was a first-time home buyer, and I still didn't know a lot of the process. So I kind of just took what I learned and I made a book called The 9 Steps to Buying a Home as a First-Time Home Buyer. And then I did one for the selling side too, Knock Knock Yitzchak's tips for selling your home for top dollar. And those were just real estate related. And then the more I got into, I realized how big the world was and how we're all going through a lot of the same problems and struggles. And so the third book that hit Amazon bestsellers list is called Open Doors: A Proven Guide to Reaching Your Highest Potential and Achieving Your Dreams. And that one is more about my life and the things that I learned through the different phases of life. I had a very untraditional upbringing, and then I went into the manufacturing industry, and just kind of living a normal life, paycheck to paycheck, and partying and all of this stuff. And I wanted more out of life, and so then I finished out the book with all the lessons that I've learned and the concepts and the books that I've read, and kind of put everything down onto paper that from people that helped me get to where I am, just sort of to pay it forward. And that's what that book is about. So it was, I remember I started doing public speaking, and I had a coach myself, and I made this presentation, and she was like, "There's too much there. It's like you tried to like get everything out you learned in the last 2 years." And I was like, "Okay, you're right." And so with the book, I could put all of that information down to paper and just put it out there to help anybody who's trying to better themselves.
Sure. Did you find it better to kind of compartmentalize those things and kind of, as you were making the book? I mean, did you realize that the story that you have is actually several books? It really is. It's multiple parts. I mean, you can kind of stick a whole
Hmm.
totalitarian type thing in it, but then really there's all the little compartments and and tranches that you can write about later that gives a little bit more in-depth look at each portion of it as well. Now, on Open Door, I would like to hear a little bit more about that. I hear that you are an interesting individual with an interesting and inspiring story. Also, I've got to say, you're a young feller, man. What are you, 30 years old, something like that?
Yeah, 31.
Oh, good Lord. Look at you. Still a baby. Done so much, man. Done so much, really, and accomplished quite a bit as well. That's why we want you on the show, to talk to other aspiring people who are out there trying to build and do something positive with their life. How do you do that? Right? How do you do that?
Yeah.
And really, they need someone that they can look to that's kind of like them. Maybe they don't want to go talk to Mr. 70-year-old dude. They want to talk to you, the guy that's in their same peer range, right? So
Yeah.
let's hear about that. How, tell us about Yitzhak.
Absolutely. So yeah, being more relatable, like for me, hearing people that I could relate to made it more believable and achievable. And so that's kind of with the book, I go back and tell my story. I was raised in a religious cult. I was born in the back of a cab over camper truck, home birth with no identification, no birth certificate, no social security number. We were kept out of the medical system, homeschooled, kind of raised off the grid, and did that, all the way up until I was 18. As I got a little bit older, my mom finally like left, and my dad was the leader of our group, and it was mostly Christian values, but hardcore biblical.
So, YouTube analytics tells me that 86% of you guys are not subscribed. Let's change that. Hit the button.
Every day is life and death, angels and demons, very strict, similar to maybe Mormon religion or some other like Waco Branch Davidian type stuff, David Koresh. We weren't, hoarding guns or anything, but a lot of strict disciplines that were put on us and things we could and couldn't do, and very sheltered, kept out of the public eye. So from that, I had a lot of self-limiting beliefs and things that I quit school in the seventh grade. I mostly worked manual labor jobs. We had a construction company and a farming. We had a furniture and pottery and wrought iron import business. So it was entrepreneurial. I still had that good aspect from it. And I tried to leave the bad and take the good, whatever was good that would help me in life. I was very intentional to like, okay, I have good work ethic. I can go out and get a job. We were involved in the finances of the businesses. So I was good with money from an early age. And, I just wanted to get out and live a normal life. And so my mom was able to help us get our birth certificates and social security numbers. I finally got that right when I turned 18. Was able to get out of that and get a car and get my GED, get my driver's license, all of the things that would allow me to have somewhat of a normal life, and got a job in manufacturing at 18. And so it was an interesting childhood for sure.
Sounds like it. So, part of a religious cult, you say? So, now I've got to ask. I mean, it sounds like it wasn't a horrible, horrible thing, just kind of strict, but what was it that made your sect, I guess, different than other Christian, organizations? 'Cause, I mean, that's the whole thing, is they all have that one or two little things that make
Yeah.
them different.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it just my dad. As an adult, I was explaining how he was to somebody, and they said it sounds like he has narcissistic personality disorder. And so I looked that up, and it describes him to a T. And then you combine that with religion, and that's how you get a lot of cult leaders. And so he believed he heard everything directly from God. He was higher, than the government. He didn't it came straight from God to him, and then he did what he wanted and lived his life that way. So really, I mean, that was the distinguishing factor. It was, we still read the Bible, Old Testament, New Testament.
Yeah.
He controlled a lot through fear, and people were searching for more out of life, and so they would give up their lives and come devote themselves to him, and then he'd tell
Wow.
them what to do, and they do it up until a certain breaking point where they'd be like, all right, this seems a little crazy, and then they'd usually
So you saw
leave.
that part of it too. You saw the people leave. You saw them say, maybe not.
Yeah. It would be a breaking point where it was like, okay, this is asking a bit too much now.
Sure.
And so then they'd end up leaving. So I saw a lot of people come and go, as when I was a child. And because we didn't have birth certificates or socials, it was like all these people are willingly like coming and doing this, and we can't. We don't have a choice. So it was crazy to me. But I think now as an adult, I understand it more, how people can go choose that life is because a lot of people don't want to make choices for themselves. They want somebody to make the choices for them.
Certainly.
And my dad had no problem making choices for people. So,
You,
uh,
you know, I think a lot of that are just people are looking for something. You know, there's a whole lot of broken folks out there that are, and when I say broken, I don't mean financially. I mean in their life and their internals, man. They need something, and sometimes it's community, sometimes it's God, sometimes it's just a companion. Really,
yeah,
you know, it really is. And I think that a lot of people do take advantage of those things, and at the same time, it's a good business. And
yeah,
I think that I also think there's probably a place for it. I think that there's organizations out there that, I mean, if they're truly providing help to those folks, hey, give it
yeah.
to them, man. You can't hate on them for that. Now, monetizing the Bible, or monetizing God, I don't know. That, to each his own, I guess. That's not for me. Now, I've got to ask you, since you were kind of, I guess, born and raised into this, at what point in your life, or at what point in your life were you aware that maybe this wasn't the correct lifestyle that you wanted to lead?
Probably around like 10, 11, 12 when I started forming. When we were little, we didn't know any different. And then we got to see some movies and, we got to occasionally go out into public and see. Well, I guess my dad got it, that my parents got divorced and he got remarried and I had some stepbrothers and stepsisters and they didn't fully integrate. So I got to see a different lifestyle that they didn't have to do all the same things or have the same restrictions as us. And when you start forming those years, when you start forming your own opinions, it was like, okay, this probably isn't for me. I don't believe in this. I don't believe the same things that he believes. Or if God wouldn't be doing these things that he's doing these things in the name of God, but it's not. It just didn't align with what it was a do as I say, not as I do type of person. So that's really when I was like, okay, this probably isn't right, and I don't want to live this way. And then as I got older, just started planning. Before my mom worked to help us, there was really no plan. If I left, I would be, working like an illegal alien or just cash under the table. And so I was still gonna go that route, but it was a very bleak future at that point. It was like I didn't have any options, and so uh, the reason I titled the book, reaching your highest potential and achieving your dreams, was because my dream as a kid was just to have a normal life, and so I accomplished that dream. I got the normal life, and then it wasn't what it was all cracked up to be. I didn't want to. I realized that the normal life wasn't that great, and that was part of my journey. I got into partying after I turned 18. You go from being so sheltered to no restrictions, and get out there and start. At first I was just like smoking, and nothing wrong with that. I was selling weed too at that point. I was entrepreneurial. I was like, why would I, just smoke it and pay for it if I can just buy it and sell some? And so did that, but
Makes
got
sense, doesn't it? It
arrested.
just makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, it made sense to me. I was at a party when I was 19 though, and the party got busted, and just happened to be there, and we happened to all, four of us got arrested, and so, that was my first arrest for possession of marijuana at 19. And so, uh, first time being in jail was a little bit, you know, uh, not not what I expected, the direction of my life, and got out and still kept hanging out with the same people. And, I quit smoking for a while and
Yeah.
dealt with all of the court stuff that I had to do, and, spent money on that and kept my job, and I was still responsible. But then I turned 21 and got more into drinking, and drinking is where, I got in more trouble with the one that's legal.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's
that's
it.
always interesting to me. It's very uh, just socially accepted and encouraged. Oftentimes, it's a societal passage of rights where it's like, oh, this is adult juice. You can drink this when you're an adult, and
Yep.
uh,
And it's something you look forward to doing. It's something you look
yeah,
forward to doing, killing yourself. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Hey, I tell you what, man, I've been smoking weed since I was 13 years old. Didn't start drinking until I was about 25. Okay.
Mhm.
Thank
Mhm.
God I only drank for about 3 or 4 years regularly, going
Yeah.
through that little 20s something phase. And
Well, that's like your brain's not even developed till you're 25, so you're just like, you're drinking and
yep.
making poor life choices a lot of times in that time before you're actually it was after I turned 25 where I was like, okay, I got to cut this out and stop and got to change.
Yep.
I don't want to keep going down this path. And I had probably 15, 20 people I knew with DWI. So it's just like normal. It was a normal thing. You get desensitized to it when everybody is going through those same things. And I got a DWI at 23 and then was able to work. And I was very fortunate with my arrest that I had a good lawyer and I was very proactive to take care of everything that I needed to do, community service, things like that. But just you don't change your environment and the people that you hang out with, you keep going through the same cycles over and over and keep getting the
That's
same
it.
result. And that's what I was stuck in that. And so just started searching for, okay, how can I change my life? And I don't want to end up in jail or dead. And that was like I got one more DWI after that, and I woke up in a ditch with cops and EMS around me. Fortunately, nobody else was involved, but it was like that was kind of the last straw where it was like, okay, if I keep on this path, I'm gonna die or I'm gonna end up in jail. And I didn't want either one of those things. So found, just started looking on YouTube and listening to podcasts and like what looking for side hustles, like what can I do to change careers to get out of where this path that I'm on. And that's how I found real estate and real estate investing. It just made sense to me. I grew up working construction. It's like a tangible asset. Every like everybody that I looked at, no matter what career somebody became successful in, they usually put some of their money into real estate or own some real estate. So I was like, okay, if I put my money in there, and then that can lead me a path out of the manufacturing industry, and so I went down that path. YouTube was like one of the best things for me. I found this guy named Graham Stephan,
Yep.
who's like an agent out in California who got
Sure.
into real estate investing and became a millionaire by 26 through all of that. So I just went down the rabbit hole and started learning and taking action is one of the biggest things. It's like, okay, you can learn all of this, but if you don't like put a plan into place and start taking action, it won't change. So that was kind of the path that I went down, and then I just really went all in 2020. With COVID happened, I decided to get my real estate license and immerse myself in the industry. I was like, it'll help me with the real estate investing side, and it'll open up opportunities and just the ceiling on what I believed was possible and this small little world that I was in just expanded into this great big world of there's so many possibilities and so much that you can do. And that's kind of what led me to where I'm at now. And just it's like a ripple effect, one thing after another. I took action, to get my license, became a realtor. Then I got into networking and I met a coach, and then I hired her to coach me, and I saw what coaching could do, and then I wanted to do that for other people as well. So just kind of keep going. When I see an opportunity, I've gotten good at knowing when to say yes and when to say no, and that's how I've got this far.
Hey, I tell you, man, you've been doing it. Hey, are you a business owner that's stuck? Are you at that phase in your company where you're just not sure exactly what to do next? Like, where's the next step? What's the next piece of technology? What do I need to implement into our company or into our strategy for growth and scalability? Hit the link below. Let's have a business growth strategy consultation. Let's have a talk about that and see if we can't do something to maximize what you're doing already. Now, what type of coaching programs do you offer? I know I looked on your website and it mentioned a few things, but what specifically do you coach?
So the style of coaching that I do, I have three different coaching certifications. The first one was just like life coaching, but it came from an alcohol and drug rehabilitation background, and it was just kind of helping people establish like set goals, small things. It's like, okay, environment. I did a lot of things and used myself as a guinea pig. And then when I went through the coaching course, it was like, okay, everything that I did was what a coach would have told me to do. So helping people change their lives and just get in a better position. And then I'm certified success coach, which was Success Magazine has been around for about 130 years. My company, my brokerage, EXP Realty, bought Success Magazine, and then they formed a coaching company off of that. And it's with a lot of different coaching styles, neuro linguistic programming, disc personality assessments, but it's not industry specific. Yes, I can coach realtors, but I don't need to be in the industry that you're in to be able to coach you because it's a holistic approach. We're looking at the different, there's Tony Robbins has the wheel of life or the arenas of your life. There's in coaching, there's all different areas that you want to look at. So your personal, your health, your finances, your career, your relationships. There's several different areas, and if you're sort of neglecting one of those areas, it's like you really want to focus on work, but you're neglecting your family or your health, and those things start deteriorating, then you really don't have a whole lot. So the final coaching certification that I got is through Brendan Burchard, and it's high performance coaching. I consider myself a high performer. So it's a 12-week coaching program that I will take somebody through that has every week we have an intentional category that we're working on. We're going to focus on clarity. We're going to focus on your energy, your psychology, your physiology, and we're going to have an outcome every session. So the old style of coaching was you kind of get on a call and you're like, "Hey, what are you working on this week?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, okay. What obstacles are you trying to overcome? What are you gonna commit to doing this upcoming week?" And
Sure,
sometimes that can get, old or it's not moving you as far as you would want to go. So
certainly.
with high performance coaching, we have a topic that we're going to talk about, and I'm going to go through a series of questions, and they're going to be questions that you've probably never been asked before, and it makes you really self-reflect and become more self-aware and help you discover the answers to solve the problems yourself and equip you with the tools so that you won't need a coach forever. I can be with you as long as you want, but the goal is to empower you and to help you become more self-aware to have the tools to handle the problems that are thrown at you throughout your life.
Oh, well, thank you very much for that. I'll be sure to have your link tree, down in the description below so that anyone who wants to take you up on that offer to sit down and have a conversation with you, talk to you about how they can work with you, that link will be available also. Now, also, I will have links to your books. You've got 3 books in there.
Okay.
I'll make sure to have, and they're all on Amazon, correct?
Two of them are on Amazon. Amazon Direct Publishing, they has to be a certain amount of pages. And so the first one, 9 Steps to Buying a Home as a First-Time Home Buyer, is a short book. I wanted to make it very adaptable. But I have a free PDF link, and so I'll put that. I think on my link tree I have the links to all of my books and where you can download the free PDF. I give that one away just because I want everybody to have the tools to be able to become a homeowner. And then with the book is on Amazon Open Doors. That's the one that hit Amazon bestsellers list, and that one's available for purchase. I tried to make the cost as low as possible. And I give away a lot of free books. So if somebody doesn't have the money to purchase it, just reach out to me and I'll send them a copy because it's not that I want to make money off of it. I want to get it in people's hands. I learned
Sure.
so much and I wanted to shout it from the rooftops to like let everybody else know these things that have helped me. And so anybody who likes reading or wants to read the book, I'll give them a copy.
Great. Well, I'll make sure that I have the other 2 Amazon links in the description so that they can go and purchase those. If they so
Yeah.
choose to do so. So now I tell you what, I got to ask you. You've been in the real estate market in the New Braunfels area, New Braunfels, Canyon Lake. I see
Yeah.
for since 2020. So
Yeah.
what's the market been like? I mean, since 2020, it's been kind of hairy, and the reason I ask that is not just to know the market. I mean, I'm in San Antonio, and as an entrepreneur, looking at different rental properties, lease properties, properties to purchase for our businesses, I've seen a lot of fluctuation and changes since 2020. A lot of changes, and so much that we ended up having to pull out of a couple locations because of those changes. So I would like to
Absolutely.
know, what are you experiencing? What are you seeing, in the market in this area right now?
Yeah, so we definitely had a market shift. I didn't get into the market for the boom. I kind of was in it for the long haul. So I've seen a lot of agents come and go already. They got used to that really easy market 2020, 2021, where you could list a house and it would sell within the first weekend. You're getting all these multiple offers and people paying more than the homes were worth. They were waiving the appraisal gaps and they were paying the appraisal gaps. And so we've definitely shifted away from that now to more of a level market. Interest rates are sitting in the high sixes to sevens for the last like 20 weeks or so. The Fed they haven't like really done much with the rates. They say that they're going to lower them, but I mean, for right now, if you're a normal buyer who can afford a monthly payment with a 6 to 7% interest rate, and then you have a lot more negotiation room in this current market. The sellers have had to readjust. They had heard about how much people were getting paid and how much people were making off of selling their homes, and so they were kind of thinking that. But it can be a harsh wake up call when you go to list your home, and in the current market we're at now, you need to be competitive when you list your home. You need to have a good fair market price because people think, oh, we'll list high and then we'll lower it if it sits for a while. But that immediately, the longer you sit on the market and the more price reductions you have, people start looking at that and they're like, okay, well, we can offer less, or they go in and they put in an offer and they do their inspection and then they come back and they ask for less because of things. So sellers need to make sure that their homes are in pristine condition when they're listing them, because you're also competing with the new home builders who are selling houses at the same price, and offering more incentives and rate buy downs and temporary rate, all these different things. So sellers are having to be very competitive, price their homes, competitively with new home builders and the other home builders, the other homes for resale in their neighborhoods, because buyers don't have to go put in an offer and purchase their home right away. They can just be like, no, wait, and I'll go look at another one. It's not that fast-paced buyers. You need to get in your offer and put highest and best. It's like, hey, no, we're going to ask for some things. I'm not in a hurry. I can afford this monthly payment that I'm getting. So that's kind of where we're at. It's more balanced, but if the rates do come down, then we have that whole issue of you have more buyers competing against each other, and then sellers can bring their home prices up a little bit. When they have more buyers that are competing for the same inventory, they're able to ask a little bit more. So I think right now, buyers it's a great time to go buy a house if you can afford it.
On that, you're talking about the competitiveness of the market right now. And we're talking about high interest rates as well. I mean, we're looking at, 6, 7, 7.5%, really. And just a few years ago, you were looking at 2.5, 3%. So that brings up the topic of the sub two revolution that
Yeah.
that I've been privy to over the past couple of years, starting to grow and grow. Now, how does that affect, or how is that working in this market right now? Is that an issue? How does that affect you as a realtor instead of just somebody that's doing the investment side on that end of it? And how do you feel about the subject to uh, revolution that we're seeing?
I've had to get a lot more knowledgeable about it, that's for sure. Last year I didn't really know anything about it. It wasn't really a hot topic. And then you got Pace Morby who came out and he's kind of led the way for a lot of people to get into it. I don't have a problem with it. Me personally, as a realtor, now that I'm a 1099 employee and I write so much off, I can't qualify for a regular loan right now for traditional financing. So I have to look into non-traditional. I looked into bank statement loans last year and DSLR, DSCR loans where it's just qualifies you off of the rental income. Those are a little bit higher down payments and higher interest rates. So the subject to, I think, is very attractive to a lot of people. I actually spoke at a sub two event. Just I got invited. I just talked about the market and I learned a lot from everybody there. But I think the stats were like 80% of homeowners have interest rates that are 4% or under, and like 20 or 30, 20 in the 20 range have interest rates that are 3% or lower. So you have all these homeowners out in the US who have low interest rates, and it's they still might have to sell, but they don't want to go into something else. It opens up a lot of opportunities for people doing subject to. I just want the people who are getting into it to have mentorship and to not just be the weekend warriors who are going out there and getting themselves into trouble. And if you go take over somebody's mortgage and create a deal, if you have all the right contracts, you need to make sure that you're set up financially to be able to pay that person's bill, because ultimately it can come back on them if you can't pay it. You want to make sure that the funds are there.
Hey, if you are a business owner, an investor, or a leader in your industry and you would like to have your story told, if you would like to share your story with our audience, be a guest on our video podcast. There's a link down below. I'd love to have a conversation with you. The network of Networth Video Podcast is a place where we have high-level conversations with high-level individuals, and I'd like for you to be one of those individuals. Hit the link below.
And it works for you financially. And however you structure it, make sure if you're in a kind of program like Pace Morby or you got somebody who's writing these contracts, just have somebody more experienced with you to guide you through the process. As real estate agents, we are supposed to have mentors and mentorship on our first three transactions when we get in the business. I hope that there's maybe a little bit more regulation that comes out with the sub two. Just making sure that people aren't doing it all willy-nilly and getting
Sure.
themselves in financial trouble.
And that's
Or
why I ask you about it, is I see some of that willy-nilliness, and I see some of those people that, well, you know what, I'm not going to say that I've seen the things go awry, but what I do know is that a lot of the people that are latching onto the programs have no business doing that whatsoever, and I think they know that too after they've dumped, tens or 20 or 30,000 into it.
Yeah, don't go just pay for a program and put all this money into it, and then you really need to get with somebody who's done a deal or done a subject to, and like ask them to walk you through the process. But you gotta take action and go out there and start looking for deals and educate yourself on it. However, find somebody who's very knowledgeable, because there are people who put themselves in tough situations and it does help them. I have a friend who he was doing it, and these people, their DTI, their debt to income was very it was high, so they got a mortgage payment of 1750, and then a year later the taxes and insurance went up and
Yeah,
they couldn't afford their payment anymore, and so they
sure,
were either going to default, and he came in and he worked out a subject to deal with them, and then he's helping somebody else out where he's kind of being the middleman, and he's going to help somebody else get in there who couldn't get qualified for their on a traditional loan,
sure,
because you have business owners who make a lot of money on paper, they have money coming in, but it doesn't conform. It doesn't work with a conforming loan, your traditional loan. So people are out there helping other people, and I think that's good. It's always good to stay knowledgeable and have integrity, and do it for the right reasons.
sure. Now, are you one of those people that someone could contact for coaching if they wanted to get into real estate and learn the ropes, or would you rather direct them in another direction?
For being a real estate agent or real estate investing traditional, yes, please reach out to me. I don't know much about the subject too, so I wouldn't be a good mentor there, but I am bringing on realtors to my brokerage and to my team. Part of becoming a coach, becoming a Texas Realtor instructor was building my value proposition. I'm also going to be a designated supervisor. I'm creating a team, Knock Knock Realty Group, Knock Knock Realty team. So just planning for expansion. And my brokerage is very different than the standard brokerage model. eXp Realty, we are a cloud-based brokerage. There's multiple opportunities to get revenue share, all different things. We're the fastest growing brokerage in the world, 90,000 agents worldwide. We're publicly traded on the stock market. We're agent owned. I own stock in my brokerage. And so I'm very proud of what we do. We're cutting edge technology and training. We have a virtual world, over 80 hours of training a week. And so I'm going to be really ramping that up over the next few years, is bringing on agents. I get really fulfilled by helping other people be successful. So that's one of my main goals.
Love it, love it. Well, hey, I get fulfilled when I get to help other people be successful as well. That is the purpose and intention of this show, is to help you connect with the people that you're looking for, to help you build the team that you're looking to build, and find the clientele that you're looking for as well. So, what I like to do is ask you if there were two different types of people that I could introduce you to, or that you're looking to meet. Tell the world who they are.
Okay, so realtors, any realtors who are not necessarily happy with their brokerage, or their new realtors and they don't know what path to take, I can definitely help those realtors. We've had a lot of market shift over the last couple years, and uh, don't don't be afraid to break up with your broker if they're not cutting it. I'll tell people, especially new agents, interview multiple brokerages. You're the one interviewing them. What are they offering you? And then, because you're the one bringing them in money, and most agents don't know, they get, you get set in your ways, and you're like, oh, this is the way things have always been. And it's like,
Sure.
hey, you need to constantly reevaluate what you're doing and where you're going, and if this is still the right choice for me. So realtors, I'm willing to help them even if they don't come join me at my brokerage. I offer classes, real estate education, CE. I have a couple classes that I do. And then I love working with first-time home buyers, but I'm really looking for individuals who are wanting to buy investment properties, or who are wanting to upgrade and get more into the luxury market. Here in our market, luxury is 700,000 to a million. New Braunfels, where our average price point here is about 400, 370 to 400. So just trying to get some more people, affluent buyers. I'm working on that part of my business to be able to have the level of care and customer service that high net worth individuals really come to expect.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that information. Now we know exactly who to get a hold of and who to contact when we need all things real estate. All right. Well, hey, I tell you what, Yitzhak, before we depart, are there any words of wisdom or steps of action, or hell, just anything you'd like to tell the audience that you hadn't got a chance to do so far?
I think one of the things that helped me is realizing that my thoughts that I think are not always true. There's lots of books out there that really go into that. What's the one, Think and Grow Rich, that talks about, your thoughts. And then there's the Secret, which is about the law of attraction. And after I read those two books, like kind of combining them, really I'm very intentional about, when I think a thought, evaluating it and seeing, does that thought serve me, or does it not, and then forming a new belief or a new thought that helps me.
Hey, if you're enjoying this video, hit that like button. If you enjoy the type of content I've been bringing you, hit the subscribe button. If you think the type of content that I'm bringing you has value to other people, then hit that share button as well. Let the world know there's some good stuff going on here in this video podcast on this channel, coming out of the mouth of this guy right here.
So no matter all of these goals, you can set goals, smart goals, all of these things. If you're not taking action and if you're not evaluating your thoughts and beliefs to see if they serve you to get you to where you want to go, all of the steps and goals and action isn't gonna like do much if your mindset isn't right. So, um, you know, constantly evaluate your beliefs and see if they were taught to you by somebody else. Did you catch those beliefs? Were that something you were told growing up and you just sort of, went with it? At a certain point, you got to see, does this belief serve me? And does this thought that I'm thinking serve me? So that's one thing that I'll leave you with is to just get better at, realizing you don't have to believe everything your mind tells you.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Yitzchak Pierson. It has been a pleasure speaking with you. And hey, I think we've expanded our knowledge base just a little bit about the current market, right? The real estate market in our area, right? About what's going on with taxes, with inflation, with appraisals, with everything else. We kind of know that everything's up right now. We kind of understand what we need to be doing, and we know who we can contact when we're ready to do it. So thank you very much for your time, Yitzhak. I appreciate you very much, and you have a fantastic rest of your day.